Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Hearthcenter. I am Lotus Knight, one of your hosts and your stream operator for tonight, and we have quite the show planned for you all. A lot of stuff, a lot of things happening, a lot of insane matches to talk about. I'm very excited to be here as always, and we have some great cast members as usual. To the top right, the longest hair in THL, um, sporting a I don't know, let's say a 60 watts fan behind him, and with his favorite card, as everyone knows, Ray of Frost, we have Ron Mexico.
Uh, Interesting. All right. Ray of Frost, sure. Honestly, you said top right, and I thought you were actually doing an intro for Nice Jewish
Oh,
Owl as longest
did I say
hair, and I
top
was like,
right?
okay, nice. But yeah, happy to be here. Excited as always to recap the action that was in THL last week, and we got playoffs to talk about. That's great.
We do. We do have playoffs. And speaking of playoffs, someone who is in pro playoffs, we have at the bottom left corner everyone's favorite board member, directly from Miami, Florida, we have DeSharmo.
That's exactly where I am right now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no
Yeah.
worries. His favorite card, as everyone knows, is Ziliax.
Lax is a great card. I love that card.
See, not
There
doing
you go.
that bad right now.
Nope.
Um, Finally, we have directly from Tavern Talk joining us tonight. We have the one and only, his favorite card, everyone knows, is um, High Priest Ahmet. We have Nice Jewish Owl.
Hello. Yeah, exactly right. Big fan of Ahmet, huge Resurrect Priest fan. And
Right?
we were mentioning Ducharmeau's in the pro playoffs. I'm here with playoffs in every series other than pro. Fingers crossed on
Nice.
Hero, but we'll get into that.
Nice. Yeah, we'll have time to talk about Hero. We'll have time to talk about quite a bit of stuff. And we have a ton of stuff here tonight. Just as a reminder, tonight we're going to do our show a bit different. We're going to leave BGs to the end because we have a very special interview, as we mentioned before, with the winners of Battleground Series. And we're going to start with what we usually start with Player of the Week. Everyone ready for Player of the Week?
Oh, absolutely.
So we don't have full write-ups for our Players of the Week because they have not been submitted yet. They will be posted on Discord. But I'm going to ask the people here to just say who are the Players of the Week, and if they want to improvise, they're more than welcome to. I'll start with Owl. Who is our hero Player of the Week?
Yeah, for Hero, our player of the week for last week is Risen. And I know we don't have the write up, but from looking at previous week, it looks like Risen took a 3-1 victory over Snake Fods. And that got the week for Dad Legend, getting a close victory over No Pros here.
That's very important one, and we'll be talking. I believe we'll be talking about that match. Now, Ron, tell us who is our legacy player of the week.
Legacy Player of the Week. Some kind of scam going on. I can't believe he got it, but it is the one and only Chewbacca getting a big win for his team and really putting a nice finish on a strong Legacy season. Congratulations, Chewbacca. Way to
Chewbacca.
scam.
Yeah, not easy to get to defeat an 8-0 player. Now,
Scammed.
Desharmo, who is our final player of the week?
And our final player of the week is pro player and probably number one rated player in Pro Series, Donkey. Donkey is 8-0 and undefeated in Pro Series, having a 3-0 win, and his team going 20-1 total, 23-1 if you count the extra points for winning over Point Blocked, and only gave them 1 point. So Congratulations on your 8-0 season, Donkey.
Easy MVP of Pro this season. Donkey's
Yeah,
been insane.
That's how do you go 8-0 in pro? Well, we have someone who's almost there here with us tonight, but um, we'll talk about that soon when we say who are the best players in pro. Is everyone ready to hop into our first series of the night? We're going to start with Hero as usual.
Let's do it.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. So our first series, we're starting with Hero series tonight. To talk about the Hero standings and how these teams are looking as we look into the last 2 weeks before playoffs, I'm going to call here Nice Jewish Owl. Tell us a little bit about these standings.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, as you can see here, the race for playoffs is still fairly tight. There's, with a potential, I guess, theoretical 46 points available to a team over the next 2 weeks. Um, I, outside of some of the teams at the very bottom, pretty much anyone with like 110 and above is in playoff range. Now, the current standings, in first place, we have at Diamond, really putting up a super strong season. 7-2 record, and the next best record being 5-3 with one tie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really just showing the strength of that team. But also a 7-2 record and only being 5 points above a team with a 5-4 record. They're not quite getting the same amount of points some of the other teams are during wins. But second place, we have F2L Black. Third place, we have Without Turt, We Must Still Skirt. Fourth place, Bands. Fifth place, Dad Legend. Sixth place, Bullner Jams. Seventh place, APM. Eighth place, No Pros Here. Ninth place, Tampams. 10th place, Vote of Some Confidence. 11th place, Snakes on a Campaign. And 12th place, going to Mast. I mean, nearing playoffs, I think any of the teams, APM and above, are all really, really in there for that playoff race. And then, No Pros Here, Tampams, and Vote of Some Confidence. If they're able to put up big weeks these next 2 weeks, they could also be in the playoff conversation.
Yeah. Are Snakes in a Campaign and Mass mathematically eliminated? Probably at
Um,
this point, right?
I would need to look at the specific weeks and who they're against. There might be some situation where one of them gets like 46 points and all of the teams above them tie. But I think it's going to be really tough if there is a world where they can't make it.
Yeah, you would need to have at least Bolner Jams not get 10 points or
Calling
13
me out.
points.
Okay.
Well,
With
you
Ron
are
on
at
that team, I
sixth.
could bet on it.
Fair. Um, so should we start talking about some of the great matches for the night?
Let's
Let's
Yeah.
do
talk
it.
about them.
Okay, so for our first match, I'm going to call the one and only Ron Mexico to talk to us about Bands Making Dance versus Even Without Turt, We Must Still Skirt.
All right. So, battle of two playoff teams, I think, possibly a playoff preview. And even without Turt, this team is skirting. They getting a pretty big win here, 17-8. And Bands, they're going to shrug this one off. I think they'll still make playoffs the way that they've kind of kept a solid pace here, but
Mm-hmm.
really impressive win for just across the board. Everybody did really well, except for Super Chicken in the one. I'm totally not surprised. Come on, Super Chicken. Unbelievable that he's even won 6 games so far. That's just my thing. I like to hate on Super Chicken. He's actually really good. But Based, of course, getting a 3-1 over Super Chicken in the one, and then all the way down the board, 3-1s the other way. Molestar, C-Mac, Nine Eyebrows, Skirt Reynolds, just absolutely dominant week for all of these players and against a really strong team. I mean, Molestar taking down Nails, that's huge. Nails being a 2 seed, still absurd. But I think this is definitely a playoff preview. Both of these teams, I strongly expect, will be in playoffs.
Yeah, I would be kind of shocked. These were I wouldn't be shocked even if one of them gets a bye week that will be given to the top two. Um, Owl, what do you think about these two teams? Any thoughts on bands make 'em dance versus even without Turt we must still skirt?
I mean, yeah, as we were saying, these two teams are both very, very likely to make playoffs. I think even without Turt, we must still skirt might start running into trouble because most of these players are collegiate players, and the TESPA season just started yesterday. So I don't know if adding an additional 2 matches every week is going to affect their ability to do prep, but it's something to watch out for in
Sure.
these coming weeks, seeing if that does affect their ability to do the prep they need to for their hero matches.
Well, if they can do the prep together and just use them to as use the prep as a team for TESPA as THL prep, that can definitely help.
There you go. Just combine them. Just
Yeah.
just submit everything exactly the same. Nobody ever scouts TESPA for THL. It'll be
Nobody
fine.
ever
Vice
scouts.
versa. It'll be totally fine.
Yeah, and I'm sure submitting the conquest lineup in hero, no
Oh,
Yeah, it'll be
issues
totally
there.
fine.
um, Speaking of things that are always the same, though, Desharmo, I want to call you to talk about this next match. We have Dead Legend versus No Pros here in Hero Series. Two teams that have been in THL for the while, even if not exactly the same.
Yeah, I this is an important match for Dad Legend. They have been sliding in the past few weeks. I believe they had a really nasty loss a week or two ago, and they really needed a comeback win. And this was close, but sometimes a win is a win, and they got there, and they're keeping themselves in playoff contention. They are still people, wanting to get in that are right there, right at their heels. And anyone playing Maestro APM is there, and even this team, No Pros here, has a chance. So, um, this is a great win from Dad Legend to just kind of pick this up. And No Pros here is just they're a great team, and I would say that this team is just underperforming this season. If they come back next season, I think we're probably going to see some more improvement. I think Pasca going 2-7 to 3 is probably not something that you would normally see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and statistically, they're still not out of the playoff race. So as long as they can they can get a good wins in these last couple, that'd be amazing. But Dad Legend doing well, and the players that needing to win, the way Dad Legend is kind of built, they're built bottom heavy, but with very capable top players, and their bottom players, helped them out this week. So
Mm-hmm.
a good win from Dad Legend, and looking for No Pros here to really kind of hopefully get some points these next couple of weeks. If not, then reassess this next season and be a strong team next season.
Yeah, let's remember how dominant No Pros here was last season. Basically they were almost undefeated all the way till finals. It was just an insane showing by them. And I just want to ask Ron, any final thoughts in Dead Legend versus No Pros here?
Yeah, I got to talk about NPH as well and how good they've been, like insanely good throughout almost their entire existence in Hero. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, this season, they're not the regular season Titans that they used to be.
Yes.
I don't know if that is in any way connected with their curse breaking. They finally got a playoff win last season for the first time ever. They always dominated in regular season, made playoffs, and immediately went 0-1. Except for last season when they actually got some wins. But now here they are at risk of not making playoffs. And I know if there's any team that can do it, I definitely have faith in No Pros here. They certainly have the pedigree over the course of multiple seasons to show that they are contenders for sure. So if they make playoffs, uh, maybe it's not the same kind of NPH that just is one and done anymore because they won last season in some games
True.
and almost got a title. For Dad Legend, we know they're capable. They've got a victory already, a championship under their belt, and this is a very strong roster. That's scary seeing Dart and Risen at the 4 and the 5. They've got some very capable
Yeah.
players in the 1, 2, 3. So Dad Legend should definitely be viewed as a threat to take a championship this season as well. Um,
Hmm.
I gotta say, looking at things as they stand right now, I don't think No Pros here is going to make it though. They needed this one and they didn't get it.
Yes. Yeah, there's let's remember to Boulder Jams, which is the sixth team and the one you want to pay attention. There's a 13-point gap. You need to
Yeah,
close
this
that
is
at
a big
least.
week though. If it happens, it almost certainly happens this week, and there's an opportunity for the teams below Boulder Jams because it's F2L Black versus Boulder Jams this week.
Wow, and Boulder Jams just getting all the tough teams in a row, it seems.
I mean, beneficiary of playing, the teams that aren't at the very top of the standings earlier in the season. So at Diamond and F2L in back-to-back weeks will kind of, put a little dent in your in your
Yeah,
chances, just a bit.
Yeah,
fair.
and looking at the strength of schedule as well, No Pros here has the second easiest, only next to Dad Legend. So it means, yeah, to me that means that they're probably facing two really good teams here at the end. So they're going to have to not only do really well against good teams, but they're going to also have to put up a lot of points.
They are both facing at Diamond, I can say that much. So, speaking of Diamond, shall we move to talk about the player power rankings for Hero Series?
Let's do it.
Sounds like a plan.
I will call on
Sure
you to
thing.
tell us who are our honorable mentions for Hero
Yeah.
PPR.
Starting with the honorable mentions, we have Skirt Reynolds, 6-3. Always just in time, also 6-3. Your Mumked, 5-4. Itachi at 5-2, and Donde at 5-4. And then entering the list proper at the number 10 spot. This can't be right. Why is this guy on? We've got Super Chicken at number 10 with a 6-3. I guess you kind of
Unbelievable.
have to put him on the
Rigged.
list. Right above him, we've got Nails, 6-3. Above that, we've got Corden, 7-2. Okay, this can't be right. This guy's 6-3 and he's above a 7-2. Ron, you're rigging it again. Ron Mexico 6-3, number 7
Oh,
spot.
it's definitely rigged. Super Chicken beat me head to head. But I'm ahead of him. Love to see it. Rigged.
Nice. Yeah, Nine Eyebrows at 7-2. Nomad Farmer, also 7-2. Dr. Fish, 8-1. Really sort of carrying that F2L Black team, putting in some good work this season. Agent PWE, number 3, also 8-1. Then in second place, we have the man himself, Diamond, 7-2. Second only to Based Inc.
Nice. Based Inc. number 1. Uh, I I gotta argue with that a little bit because of Agent PWE and Dr. Fish at 3 and 4 with better records, but I mean, Base is an amazing player, so she definitely
Yeah,
deserves to be up there.
yeah. You tell me Based Inc. number 1. I'm not going to argue with the list.
Yeah.
Records are a little off.
And I gotta point out too that a lot of times when we do these little things, these little power rankings, it also comes into strength of schedule, who they play and who they face. So,
Yes.
and my little one's losing it if you can't hear that. So,
Yeah. Um, it isn't always direct, but what I can say is if you continue to win, there's a good chance you're going to end on top, especially if you're one of Diamond, Based Inc., Agent PWE, or the one and only Dr. Fish. Possible for the others as well, but less likely since we only have 2 more weeks before we close PPR. I think that is it for Hero Series. Everyone ready to move to Legacy this week?
Oh
let's
yeah,
do it.
let's stop talking playoff speculation for who's gonna make it because we got playoff teams here.
Yeah, so Ron, tell me a little bit about the final standings for Gold Conference in Legacy.
Well, I mean, you knew the number 1 team. It was always gonna be the Golden Wisps. They've been insane, absolutely disgustingly overpowered all season long. Uh, Surprise, surprise, there they are, getting that first round bye and locking up top team, 167. And then there's the Light Showers making it in at the number 2 spot. Cult Legacy and Defias Brotherhood. And this one was really close. Pour one out for Dad Legend. 137 points, a 6-3 record, but missed playoffs by 3 points. Just so close. Meme Dream Team, Flame Pimp, Serenite Pain Gang, they had kind of missed it for a little while now, but now the season's officially in the books, they can start looking forward to next season.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what more can you say about the Wisps here? Just an unbelievable type of season that they've had. 8-1. They're the team to beat for sure. And then there's the other 3 in gold that were all very close to possibly missing out, but enough to punch their ticket and dreams alive for a championship.
Yeah. Let's move into our first match here. I'll stick to Ron this time. Tell me about Agent PWE Elemental and the Light Showers versus the Cult Legacy.
All right. So this one wound up having, 2 teams just needing to do enough to make sure that they didn't miss out on playoffs, They couldn't either team couldn't just like get fully swept and destroyed. They had to pick up some points, and of course one of them was bound to win, which meant that they were definitely going to make playoffs. Um, I think Agent PWE called that they were going to bounce Cult Legacy from making playoffs, but it wasn't that far off. It was kind of close, but they made it with 5 points to spare. PWE, of course, got that 3-0 against Epic Mingo. T-Stew taking a very close 5-game series against Nails. Geranium Battle get on the other side, getting the 3-1 over Rice Bowl, and Canoe finalizing the victory there with the 3-0 over Quaz. Sharkbait, though, Quaz and Sharkbait, some really incredible seasons. Sharkbait getting that 3-1 in the 5 seed. That was pretty crucial for Cult Legacy. And, that's just a solid season, a good performance in Legacy from a team that I'm mostly familiar to associating with Hero Series, but they're showing that they got game in Conquest, and they're going to mix it up in playoffs. Maybe we'll see these teams meet again. Doubtful, but could happen.
Yeah, I think it could happen, but we're going to have to see. Desharmo, any thoughts on Agent PWE Elemental and the Light Showers versus the Cult Legacy?
Yeah, that's a little bittersweet for me because we really needed some stuff to happen. Although it was really, I mean, the eventually it was really in our hands. Defias had lost enough matches to
Oh,
actually
we'll get there.
Serenite.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
Let's hide that one for now.
yeah, but yeah, it is a good one for them to both get points. 9 points was just enough for them to get there and stay just a few points ahead of us.
Sure. Since Desharmo gave us a tiny intro of what's to come, I'm going to ask Owl to tell us a little bit about Defias Brotherhood versus Serenite Pain Gang.
Sure thing. Yeah. So the Defias Brotherhood managed to squeeze out a 13-12 victory over the Serenite Pain Gang. And this does put Serenite Pain Gang at 0-9 this season. But we really wanted to highlight this team was like really the underdogs heading in here. They were something like 500 or 600 PR under the cap, if my memory serves me right.
It was like almost 1,000 PR,
Almost
I think, at one point.
even more. Okay. Yeah, and getting that 12 points against Defias Brotherhood, a team that has done quite well this season, and specifically some of the players on Serenite Pain Gang, like Pescatarian taking down Classy Thug with a, someone under 400 PR beating one of these 550 players, as well as the Chosen Pie, another person under 400 PR, taking down another 550 player in Wild Nine. And also, shout out to the Chosen Pie, apparently handing Always Lethal one of their 2 losses this entire season. So even if the team isn't doing as well as some of the other teams out there, really just showing that the players are trying hard and PR isn't necessarily everything.
I'd like to point out just real quickly that this is one of those matches where the team won that didn't win the most matches.
Yeah, I was going to point the same thing out.
Saturday Pengang won 3 matches and Defias won 2. But the way the point matchup spread went, Defias won the match.
One more point for SPG would have meant that Dead Legend would make the playoffs.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
That is
No.
ridiculous.
No, it wouldn't have.
It would, because then there's no +3.
Yeah, you take away
But
the
it's a,
+3 from Defias, right?
yeah, but you get a +1, so they would still be 1 point ahead of us.
Well, no, you would be tied. Remove +3, remove 1, and then add 1. We need to
Well,
see
they
who
have
wins
but they have
head-to-head.
13. So
I think you're
no,
right. It is an exact tie. So I don't know
Yeah,
how the tiebreakers would have worked out. But regardless, Defias did come through in the clutch. Even though they lost 3 matches, they got 2 massive sweeps and made
right.
sure that they made playoffs.
That's so crazy.
Feel bad for Serenite Pain Gang. They almost got there for that first win of the season, but unfortunately, it does wind up being an 0-9 season for them. But they really gave it their all,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
at the end there.
yep.
And almost played spoiler too, which is always a fun thing to play for.
Yeah. I'll keep us moving along so we have enough time to do an amazing BG's interview at the end of the show. Ron, why don't we talk about the red conference standings? We have a change in first place. It's not Bluefish anymore. Tell me what's going on here.
My goodness. Right at the very end of the season, Seek Guidance comes in guns blazing and takes that top spot. Bluefish, of course, still a very strong season and finished out, in a very fortunate position overall. Second place in red. They locked up playoffs. They're playing for a title. That's all you can really ask for. And then our remaining 2 playoff teams, Team Justin and F2L White. Chaos Theory, unfortunately, ever so close. But
Again.
once again, just barely missing playoffs. It's back-to-back seasons. I'm sorry, Isocles. Somehow you're just straight up cursed with this team. There's
Yeah.
something going on, and it is what it is. A very strong team that I think could make some noise in the playoffs, but can't quite get there for just another season. The Cooler coming close as well. Standard THL Degenerates, last season's runner-up. Kind of in that logjam of points where they were in striking distance, but not quite enough. And Stubbs with a rough season that I'm sure they would like to forget about and move on, or think about better days when they were winning titles, and hopefully for them, those days will come around again soon.
Now, Sharma, I'll call you to tell us about our first red conference match. We're going to start with F2L White versus Bluefish. Tell me about the match that made Bluefish not be the #1 team in red conference just to close Legacy.
Yeah, not only that, it made F2L White a playoff team, and bumped Chaos Theory out. So kind of two big stories there. A team that was on top the entire season and a team that was not in the playoff bracket now thrust themselves into a playoff bracket. But yeah, F2L White picking up a big win here against a very strong team. I mean, just looking down the roster of Bluefish, you look down every single seed except maybe the 5, and you're in awe with what they got. A2, Robocats, Hicket, Dead Snoop, and then even Judo Chop is good. They're all solid team, and then you got big wins from Mayanadan, who had been kind of even throughout the season, and then Ray Bobson picking up a big win over Hicket, and then Salad picking up a big PR difference over 100 PR over Dead Snoop. And those really helped out F2L there to just get them right there in the playoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was really strong showing for F2L to kind of clutch that playoff. Al, any thoughts on this match?
I think everything's pretty much already been said. It was just a very, very clutch match by F2L White to both secure them that playoff spot, take down Chaos Theory, and stop Bluefish from getting that bye after they dominated most of the regular season.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that kept their heads cool and just made really strong matches that kind of kept teams out of playoffs, Owl, why don't you tell us about Chaos Theory versus the Cooler?
Sure thing. Yeah, Chaos Theory up against the Cooler. And this was another one that had playoff ramifications. If Chaos Theory had managed to get a few more points, they may have been able to get that playoff spot. But we saw for Chaos Theory, Lawful Dog ending with 8-1 record, getting a sweep over is that Cbiak? I don't know how to say that name. Notorious GHP getting swept though by Icer in the 2 seed. Isocles getting a 3-2 victory over Bremen. Risen getting a victory over Snipe Hunter, and then Kodomora in that 5 seed losing to 2-star Mako. And that loss in the 5 seed, if that had been switched in a 3-2 victory, I'm not sure how the tiebreaks would have worked out, but Chaos Theory may have been able to make playoffs off of that, or even a 2-3 as opposed to an 0-3 against Icer from GHP. It's really a match where Chaos Theory just needed a few more points to get over the line, but Cooler stopped them from getting them.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask Ron here any comments on this match that you want to add about Chaos Theory versus the Cooler.
It just kind of a funny little thing happening here that Isocles' team gets frozen out of playoffs by playing against a team called the Cooler.
Ayo.
Just and they had a good performance too. They won. They did mostly what they needed to do. They got 14. That's 17 after the win. But F2L White just did a little bit more, and
Yeah.
it just things didn't break their way. Amazing season from Lawful Dog, but the rest of the team couldn't quite get there. GHP was incredible last season, but had a rocky season this time around. Kodomora only lost, I think, one game all last season, but this season just kind of struggled a little bit and just barely wasn't enough. I'm sure Chaos Theory will be back next Legacy season, and we'll see if they can find some new construction that finally breaks that curse. For now, it's just outside looking in once more, planning for next season.
And I just want to say real quick that this is echoes the we didn't get to see the match. The Dad Legend meme Dream Team. Dad Legend won, but didn't get enough points to get into the playoffs. And same thing here. The Cooler kind of playing spoiler without even winning, not giving Chaos Theory enough points. I think if they had just
Yeah.
won, Chaos Theory just won one more match, they were in.
Yep.
Yeah.
With Dad
It
Legend.
was Mako, I think, at the very end that put the nail in the coffin for Chaos Theory when he got the win over Kodomora. And if Kodomora had gotten it, Chaos Theory gets in, but Mako, gets to spoil.
That would make sense. Mako always plays so late on Sunday. I don't think I've ever seen Mako play early. But playing with him for a whole season.
Mako does everything late.
I believe that is it for Red Conference. Any final comments before we go into Silver Conference?
Let's do it.
We have to talk Silver, huh?
Yeah, I will let someone
All right.
else talk Silver since
Silver.
we do have a special guest to talk Silver today. Owl, why don't you tell me about Silver Conference? Did Team Neji Boston make it in the end or not really?
Let's focus only on Wallet Warriors and nothing else.
Yeah. I'm fine. We can focus only on Wallet Warriors. Yeah. Yeah. The Silver Conference ended up being fairly close for the sort of bottom two playoff spots we had. Illidan's Death Knights coming in at 126 with Not Justin and Hot Zilf sort of right behind at 123, and Amber Flight Gaming 118, missing it by a slightly larger margin, but still, wasn't out of the race for a lot of it, mainly due to, as we were alluding, the Neji Boston carry on that team.
True. And I mean, in fairness, it's potentially like Amber Flight could have gotten a lot closer, but Itachi decided to no contest his match because it had no bearing on
Sure.
actually making playoffs anymore. But there was a potential 7 points that Itachi could have earned because it would have won the week if he had also won his match. But 7, as you can see, was not enough. We needed that one additional point that I personally was unable to get. So Neji Flight Gaming can blame yours truly for not making playoffs. Sorry,
And that
fellas.
in those top
I
two
would have
spots,
blamed you anyway,
True.
no matter what.
always play.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wallet Warriors, we squeaked by with 1 point over APM. I assume we're going to talk about that match where we had the top two teams. I believe we were sort of top two most of the season. We played each other that final week, and we thought we were playing for the playoff bye. It ends up being that that APM had enough points overall to be second place, um, or I guess first place of all the teams that weren't first in their conference, and also got the week 1 bye. But
Also, I also want to point out, and maybe this is a little bit of salt talking, that Dirty Mike and Illidan's Death Knights would not be in the playoffs if we did like an overall points system, because Dad Legend and Chaos Theory would have more points than both those teams.
I know there was in a lot of the cross conference weeks, some of the silver teams sort of struggled a little bit, which is why there's a few more points in the other conferences compared to
Yeah.
silver. And Wallet Warriors and APM also sort of went on tears and didn't give up a lot of points to the other teams in the conference.
Yep. Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, Dad Legend, we 3 out of our 2 losses were I mean, all 3 of our losses were in conference losses. We didn't lose any of our out of conference losses. So sort of same thing you see in other sports. You know, you lose your conference matches, you lose your, your division matches. It's kind of keeps you out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the first match before we get into the really crazy match for Hero. Um, let's go for Dirty Mike's and the Boys, our warm-up match versus Not Justin. And I'm going to call Ron to tell us about this one.
All right. So Dirty Mike and the Boys versus Not Justin, pretty close one. Um, it was a 16-12 victory for Dirty Mike, and most importantly, I believe it came down to um, the final match, Astro Frog versus Automated Button, winning a Garrote Rogue versus Aggro Druid to make playoffs in
Wow.
game 5 on stream. Just, a very, very close one there. Not Justin barely out of the playoffs there because Dirty Mike and the boys took that nail biter of a victory. If that goes the other way, the entire match goes the other way. And of course, tightly contested all the way through with all of these players had very important outcomes. Mr. Beluga getting the 3-2 over Kazgar, Megu getting the 3-2 over Jimbo, Pyro getting a 3-2 over Tony Montana, and Lefty getting a massive sweep in the 5 seed that wound up giving just enough points to put them over the top, and just a really awesome playoff preview type of
Hmm.
match. This was is like playoffs had already started here between Dirty Mike and Not Justin. It was like the play-in for the playoffs, and they did what they had to do. They got in, and I'm excited to see how well they can do in the playoffs.
Right. This is going to be exciting. Dirty Mike and the Boys. Hasn't it been a few seasons since they make playoffs? I'm happy to see them back.
Yeah, they've had a little bit of struggles. I don't remember how long it's been, if it was just 1 or 2 seasons, but I don't think they made it last season at least. And
No.
this is one of those teams. The only downside is if they win, we already have Dirty Mike merch. Maybe
True?
they can make some more, make something
Well,
different if they win. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
yeah. That's up to Mako though. Now, speaking of a really tight match, I think this is the match everyone wants to talk about in Silver, and I will give it to Owl because Owl knows he has to talk about this one. Yes, I'm talking about Wallet Warriors versus All Pros Missing. This is like playoffs. This could easily be the finals this season. What happened?
Yeah, this was a pretty crazy match because if my memory serves me correctly, I think at least 3 of these all happened within roughly 2 hours of each other. I believe Tavin took the loss fairly early on to Avi, in the week, but then it was like Sam got his win, Dragon Ninja got swept, and then I swept Cheesy, and that all happened in quick succession. And then we're just sitting there waiting, and I think our team might have gotten a little too overconfident with Mojo Pal being 8-0 going into his match against Shu. We were saying
Fair.
like, oh, all we need is Mojo Pal to win the week. Cool. Guess we won. Um, and then it almost came down if Mojo Pal hadn't gotten that 1 point in his match, All Pros Missing would have taken the number 1 spot in the conference because we would have been tied on points, and then they would have won the head-to-head against us.
Of course,
So
it wouldn't have been all that relevant because you still would have gotten the bye
yeah,
anyway.
we still would have ended up getting the bye, but it was sort of for that bragging rights in
Yeah,
silver.
there you go. Top team in silver. That counts for something.
Yeah, and especially the 2 sweeps were pretty intense because Dragon Ninja, while he did have a rough season, other than his week against Bone Masher, every single one of his losses was a 2-3. Like every single one of them was a 2-3. So he was still getting us points. And then getting that sweep there was huge for APM winning the week because we weren't getting the points we're used to getting when we lose games.
Right.
And then I going into my match, I was somewhat nervous because I didn't expect the stakes of my match to be as high. So the lineup I
Fair.
had prepped was a little unorthodox. I won't give away what my opponent was playing, but I will say the shaman that got banned was an evolved shaman, and the demon hunter featured some fell summoners in it.
Nice.
But I ended up getting the sweep with that lineup. A little bit of luck, a little bit of high rolling, a little bit of outplaying, but yeah, it ended up being a super close week, and we managed to squeak out that spot.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta give some props to Chewbacca for taking out a giant in Mojo. Um,
Yeah.
giving him its only loss of the season. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Scammed. Clearly scammed.
Like, I mean, Mojo's got to be a little bit upset about that because he probably wanted to go undefeated. But
Yeah, he was gunning for that MVP, and now with Neji Boston still being 9-0, it's a little harder for him to get it.
Yep.
But Chewbacca is one of those players. He's very, very underrated at the 5. So it's not a person like the PRs don't really reflect. He could beat anyone up in the 3 seed if he really tries.
Yeah, and also I guess sort of interesting to note with the Wallet Warriors, the seeds on this team have changed a lot throughout the season. I believe Dragon Ninja started in the 1 seed and Tavin started in the 3 seed. And we've just sort of been shuffling around because it's sort of whoever goes up to the 1 seed usually tends to lose, but then we win in all the other seeds. So then someone else goes up to the 1 seed and they lose a few games, and then someone else goes up. So sort of what's been happening with the team.
Sure. Just team tagging the 1 seed.
Yeah, I'll be back in the 1 seed for playoffs, but Tavin might have to go back up if I run into too rough of a match.
Nice. I will keep us moving into the playoffs. So, just as a quick recap of what the playoffs look like before we talk about our final player power rankings, we have guaranteed a bye. We have the Golden Wisps, the Seek Guidance, Wallet Warriors, and APM. And then 4 matches are happening this week. We have Agent PW and the Light Showers versus Illidan's Death Knights, F12 versus the Cult, Bluefish, or is that Redfish? I don't actually know from the logo, but I think it is Bluefish.
It's it's Bluefish.
Okay.
They're the ones that were dominating in Legacy this season. Redfish did
Yeah,
not have a
that's what
great
I
season.
thought. I could have confused them. It wouldn't be a surprise. Um, we have Dirty Mike and the boys facing Bluefish, and Defias Brotherhood facing Team Justin. So we are not going to engage in speculation because Owl will be doing that tomorrow, and you don't want to watch the same thing twice. But we will do something different here. Instead of asking who do you think is going to make finals or etc., I'm going to ask you all just which match you most like to see on stream of the four that are here this week. And I'm going to start with Desharmo. Which match of these four do you want to see?
Yeah, I'd love to see the Cult versus F2L. I think that's going to be a really interesting match there. Both
Nice.
of those teams are strong teams, and I'd like to see that one.
Awesome. Ron, which match do you want to see on stream?
You know, I'm kind of interested in Team Justin versus Defias. Both of these teams have identical records and the exact same amount of points. They're both 6-3. They're both 140 points, and the the lineup construction is somewhat similar, and we've got some really good players in here that I would love to see match up against each other. Justin versus Wild Nine would be the one seed matchup, which is great, and then the rest of I mean, everyone is Justin on Team Justin, but
Yes.
just always just in time. I should specify is their one seed right now, and then the rest of the Justins versus the Defias gang, I think would be really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Owl, what match are you looking to watch?
I want to see Geranium Battle versus Jespine on stream. I'm going to give you
Nice.
specific two players. I want to see those two play it out.
Awesome.
Nice.
I believe that is it for Legacy playoffs. So quickly going over Legacy PPR. Second, I'm just going to make sure the names aren't appearing so you all don't know it the second I put it on stream. Ron, who is Legacy PPR this season?
All right. So final legacy PPR. Starting with our honorable mentions, we we have Nails at 6-3, A2 Battleship at 7-2, Mr. Python at 6-3, Always Just in Time at 6-3, and Mick at 6-3. Excellent seasons from all these players. Gold and red represented in honorable mentions.
Yeah, really
Nice.
strong one. And actually broke the top 10, Ron.
So top 10, I mean, let's just go right from the top here. Who else but Neji Boston of Neji Flight Gaming? Uh one of not too many silver representatives. We got a few. Taking that 9-0 record. Just unbelievably strong season, MVP type season there. Followed by Agent PWE scamming his way to the number 2 with a 7-2 record. Jumping 8-1s in Lawful Dog and Mojo Powell at the 3 and the 4. Incredible seasons to both of them. Mojo sadly lost that 2 spot, going down to number 4 with a loss to Chewbacca in the final week. We've got Always Lethal at number 5, 7-2. Steve, maybe 7-2 in the number 6 spot. We've got Epic Mingo at 7-2. And then we close out with our 6-3s that jumped the honorable mentions. Avi at 6-3, Jim Philos at 6-3, and Jolt C closing out our top 10 at 6-3 as well. There you have it. Legacy season 19 final player power rankings. Congrats to these players.
Yeah, congrats to everyone here. So we have time for the interview. I will directly move us into Pro Conference, and let's start with the boring conference. We're going to start with Black Conference, and to start with Black Conference, I'm going to call the one and only board member here, Desharmo. Tell us about the Black Conference. How did it
Yeah,
end?
it ended the way sort of. I mean, really, there was a tussle for the top spot. Really, was the biggest thing here. But other than that, I mean, everybody who was in top 4 sort of was in the same sort of position they were last week. And in Pro Conference, while seeding might mean something, it doesn't mean as much as in the other conferences because everybody's a good team. Anybody can beat anybody, and there are no buys. So
unfortunately.
so 6-2 all the way across the board. We got Brushy Tuna up top by 1 point over Bread Ape. Brushy Tuna had been struggling for lost 2 in a row and then ended with 2 wins. They were 4-2, now went 6-2. So to keep at top spot. Bread Ape 6-2 as well. For the Clowns 6-2 as well. And then No Pros here picking up a win here at the end and giving them going 4-4 or an L, maybe an I don't remember. But we'll take a look. I think. And then Sushi Rats not getting enough points to get in, losing to a good team,
Well, they had a
which we'll
break
see it.
week. Reds had a
Oh
bye, I think, right? No,
no
I'm
no no
confused.
they no
Never
they
mind.
played
No, they
Brett
played Red Ape.
Oh
played
yeah,
Brett
they
Ape.
did. Okay, my bad. So let's take a look at our first match. We're going to start with No Pros here versus For the Clowns. And for this one, Sharma, why don't you stick and tell us about this match?
Yeah, this was a match that Sushi Rats needed to for it to happen, and they needed basically No Pros here to lose and not get any points, and they didn't do that. They beat For the Clowns and solidified their playoff position. Some big wins, and in the L's, they got 2 points. So I mean, even with the 2 losses, they got as many points as somebody with that goes 3-2 can get. So your mom kid picking up a big win, 3-0 over Nails. That's something that you don't hear very often. And then Lonenko picking up our legacy MVP, probably more than likely 5-3 over Neji Boston. That's gross. And then XQA picking up a big win over German Shep, another gross player. So No Pros here doing what they need to make sure that Sushi Rats doesn't come up and take their spot.
Yeah. And speaking of Sushi Rats picking their spot, Sushi Rats tried, but they were facing Red Ape. I'll call Owl for this one. Tell me a little about Sushi Rats versus Red Ape.
Sure thing. Yeah, this was really, in a lot of ways, just a dominating victory by Bread Ape, solidifying their spot in playoffs. And um, I haven't looked at the specific lists, and we don't have the deck breakdown this week, it seems. But just looking at the Sushi Rat lineup, it seems like they all brought sort of similar deck lists. And if there's a team you don't want to do that against, it's a Heat Shock team, because as soon as they realize you're bringing similar deck lists, they're going to target you. But yeah, Bread Ape taking that victory, the only victory for Sushi Rats was from Money Pockets in that 2 seed over Valdis. But Heat Shot getting a 3-1 over Griff, obviously taking a 3-1 over Dead Snoop. C-Mac getting a 3-0 over Hickett, and then Ufric taking that 3-1 over Sprinkle in the 5 seed. You know, Sushi Rats really needed a big week if they wanted to make playoffs, and Bread Ape stopped them from doing that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not even going to waste time talking about the boring conference because Pink was fire. Let's just hop straight into Pink Conference. Charmo, tell us about Pink Conference. What actually happened in the fun conference in Pro this week?
Yeah, this was one of the conferences that
The
that
numbers got
actually
updated. 1 second. Making sure we have the right numbers. But go ahead.
yeah, this is one of the conferences that that the points actually mattered for the 4 seed, and we were this is right. This is the right points.
Now it is, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we got the 2, 3, basically the 2 through the 3 seed, 5 players fighting for that position. Sheepy's Undivided Popeye Sandwich getting the nods, and then 2 5-3 teams missing the playoffs. This just goes to show you how tough the Pink Conference was. That there were most of the conference, 7 teams of the conference were strong enough teams to be playoff teams, and the 6th place team, Aussie Pro Mafia, just missing playoffs by 4 points.
And they were
And
number
F2L
2.
yes, they and I believe all of these players were in the top at some point. All these teams. So, and then really tough for F2L, who had been is probably one of the most infamous teams in Pro Series, winning multiple championships.
Hmm.
They just barely get knocked out of the playoffs. But the
I don't know.
Sheepies,
They rebranded their name. They've never won since they rebranded.
true.
I think they're washed.
Yeah.
Um, but Sheepies picking up the coveted 2 spot, and then of course the 5 boxing wizards jumping quickly. They're no chance. I would have to say that they're probably the favorites to win all of the pro conference. But this is playoffs, and everybody is now 0-0, and it's anybody's game.
Yeah.
For sure. I'd have to agree with that, though. This team is far and away like the team to beat in pro. It starts with 5 boxing wizards jump quickly. Everybody needs to beat that team or have an eye on how that team is playing first if you want to win pro championship this season. But, anyone's game in playoffs.
Hmm. And before we talk more about the playoffs, I want to get everyone's undivided attention. The next match,
Oh.
Ron, why don't you tell us about Undivided versus Aussie Pro Mafia?
So what an incredible match. What a way to make playoffs. Undivided was all but out of it, honestly. We did not think that it was very likely at all when we recapped last week that they were going to make playoffs. We were looking at, Popeyes is probably going to make it, even though they're on a bye. They've got enough points. F2L has a shot. Sheepy's probably going to make it. And APM is probably going to make playoffs, but Undivided took that personally and
Hmm.
just took it to APM, like absolutely insane. And I mean, what more can you say? 20-point week, just everyone across the board. Someone is like they just had a fire lit under them and just went off. And I am really impressed. Like that is such a cool way to make playoffs. You're almost out of it, back against the wall. Need everybody, literally everybody, to win, and they do.
It's
And
so
just
crazy.
wow. And now
Yeah.
they're in. And okay, let's see how you do in playoffs. Like I would not be too thrilled if I was on a team that had to play Undivided right now. Like, oh my God, they're on fire. So watch out.
I agree. This is such a strong showing. 20 points in pro is ridiculously hard. Probably harder than in most series just because of the way PR works, I would say. And especially against a team that isn't giving up. It's not like APM said, "Oh, we don't care about." Like if this was Point Locked and Point Locked or Mancrick's Multiple Wives just said, "Yeah, we're losing anyways. We're going to concede this match." Fine, but APM had no intention of letting 1 point go here, and they broke 23 points out to qualify. And remember, they were literally 3 points above or 4 points above F2L. So one of these matches becoming a 3-0 loss would have been enough to kick them out of playoffs, most likely.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible performance. And worth mentioning, Undivided as a reward for them going off and making playoffs now, they get to play the defending champions in the first round. That would be them against Bread Ape.
Yeah, that's going to be an
But I don't know.
exciting
I
side.
wouldn't I wouldn't be too comfortable if I was Bread Ape here. Like, okay, guys, let's pay attention.
Agreed. I 100% agree. As for our other Pink Conference match, we had a really strong match between a team that unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on where you lie on the spectrum, um, made the playoffs. We had, or didn't make the playoffs for this team. We have Sheepy versus F2L. Owl, tell us a little bit about Sheepy versus F2L.
Yeah, sure thing. This was another really, really close match. Sheepies was sitting in a good position to make playoffs and did end up making it, but F2L really just needed a few more points this week to get that playoff spot. But playing against Sheepies, which was one of the powerhouse teams last season and still sort of a powerhouse team this season, They didn't quite get there point wise. We see why the Hunter in the 1 seed got a sweep over Rabobson. Then Cyan Sheepies lost 1-3 to Marty B. Kuznos took a 3-2 over Always Lethal. And then Skittles came in and got a 3-1 over Swanky Pants. But then in that 5 seed, we see Mikas getting a 3-2 over Itachi. And F2L just needed a few more points there. If they were able to turn one of those 2 losses into another victory, they may have been able to make it into playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it would have had to be points from Rabobson, because even an Itachi win there just gets an extra 2 points.
Yeah, and they
Mhm.
were 3
And they
points out.
missed it by 3. Funny enough, we were actually talking about scenarios where Popeyes, who had the bye, wouldn't actually make playoffs, and it seemed all but impossible with like how the matchups were shaken out. And as it happened, F2L like was literally a Rabobson win away, right? He wound up getting swept in the 1 seed, but if he had taken that victory, he would have gotten F2L in, and Popeyes would have been bounced by F2L. Just crazy that it got this close in pink.
Yeah, I mean, it could have even have been a Sheepies bounce, to be honest. There was a good chance that Sheepies could have been bounced if they didn't score a 3-0 against Robson. If it was a 1-3,
True, actually, I didn't think about that.
yeah, so really even second place team could not have made it if things had gone a different way. This was just such a ridiculous week in pink, and that's why I called black boring compared to pink conference. Taking a quick look at pro playoffs, we currently have the following matches. We have Brushy Tuna versus Popeye's Spicy Chicken Sandwich, which actually happened last season, if you all remember. I'm sure you do.
Nah,
Um,
I don't remember that. I blacked out.
Fair. We have For the Clowns versus Sheepies. The 5 Boxing Wizards Jump Quickly versus NPH. And I can't read that logo. The Undivided versus Red Ape. Some really good matches making the THL Pro playoffs. And we don't speculate here. So I'm going to avoid speculation for now and move us along so we can get right in time for an interview at the time we promised the players we would hop in.
Sweet.
So
I
I'm going to do pro player power rankings, and Desharmo had something to say before that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and I want to say it one more time. This is one of the first seasons where you don't see Hype Horizon on that list there. It's
True.
just it's been, I know they kind of slowly sort of checked out at the end of the season, but they were a team. I mean, they were always there, and it's just first season where now another team gets a chance.
Yeah. I think it's just all their players are washed up now. There's no player there that plays Hearthstone anymore. They just don't know what they're doing anymore.
Amazing.
And yeah. Um, shall we talk about the player power rankings, Desharmo?
So we'll start off with our honorable mentions. We got, starting from the bottom, we got Total Orange. I don't have his record on my sheet here, but he's in there is 6-2.
Yeah,
There was an
this
issue with a name change or something that caused
yes,
somebody to be named twice.
Rice
So,
Bowl.
but yeah, so it is Total Orange. Um, he's 6-2. Rice Bowl 6-2. McBanterface 5-3. Avi 5-3, and Wild 9 at 6-2. Some
I
strong
gotta
names there.
say, when a player that is a grandmaster who's actually going to the world championship for Hearthstone is in honorable mentions for PPR for Pro Series, that
Yeah,
should tell you how competitive Pro Series is.
Yeah,
It's kind of insane.
right?
yeah. Have your name anywhere on this list it's a feat. It's great. Let's start with number 10. We got Valdis 6-2, Nails 6-2 at ninth. 8, you got Y the Hunter, 6-2. At 7, you got your Mump Kit at 6-2. 6, you got Pocket Train at 5-2. Myanodon at 5 at 7-1. Then we got number 4, Ron Mexico at 7-1. Number 3, Heat Shock at 7-1. Number 2, Dar Binks at 7-1. And of course, Player of the Week and easily number 1 overall for the season, 8-0 Donkey at 24-7 gross their win rate, and just an amazing season for him.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Donkey far and away just dominated above all else.
Yeah, looking at this, Donkey is averaging less than 1 game loss per week.
that's so
Yeah.
insane.
Totally nuts. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Pro before we start our Battlegrounds interview?
Good luck to all the playoff teams, and congrats to the players on the power rankings list. And excited for what playoffs are going to bring. But I think it's time. We have our first champs of the season. Let's talk Battlegrounds.
Yeah, I am bringing them in to talk Battlegrounds. While I bring them in, I think it's time to do the thing that we do every show that we've been switching players, but I think Ron should do it this time. Um, I think we can use the time that I'm adding the players here to do the one and only Twitch Prime ad. What do you think, Ron?
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Should I not rapid fire this as you get everyone to join the call?
Oh, you can. I just need. I need them to accept my friend request. I'm going to get Agent PWE here, and I'll get the other two.
Ah, right on. All right. Well, let's dive into it then. As always, hey there, Twitch viewers. Have you subscribed to Team Hearth Legends yet? No? Then make today the day to be a legend yourself and subscribe to our channel. This subscription enables the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website, as well as improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. If you have Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime, you can actually subscribe to this channel for free. Subscribers will get a THL emoticon as well as a lovely THL chat badge. So hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest, our website, teamhearthlegends.com. Follow us on Twitter at THL_HS. Join us on Discord at Team Hearth Legends. Check out the THL PAL podcast, RIP, for power rankings for all series, wherever you find your podcasts. The true Hearth Legends himself, Saku, continues to post all of our videos on our YouTube channel. Just search for Team Hearth Legends to catch everything previously recorded. You're, of course, watching us on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Team Hearth Legends, or possibly on our YouTube channel in the future. And for all you THL fanatics out there, there are THL shows every single day of the week, except sometimes when they're not. You can't go wrong tuning in at any time for some amazing Hearthstone-related content. Now, back to the good part. The champs. Are they here?
I think they're here. Well, almost all of them are here. So first of all, I want to congratulate on their win Lul Nanko, Agent PWE, and Snake Fods, who are here with us tonight. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Thank you. The important members of our team are here.
Nice.
We are missing one player. We're missing your mom, Ked?
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
just
fine.
the captain of the team.
Well,
Doesn't seem important. It's
no.
fine.
Who's gonna know the difference?
Exactly.
So, I think the first thing we all want to talk to you about is really about last week. I want to ask you all if you can tell us how last week felt. So, we had in the first lobby, we have Snake Fods and Lunenko playing. How did that lobby feel? Tell me what were your thoughts while you were playing. I want to ask the two of you, how did it go?
So for me, the strategy these last couple weeks, and you can ask Snake, I've been telling him this, is just like don't throw, and then Agent will clutch out anyway. And that's pretty much what happened. You see, we ended up in the middle of that lobby. I unfortunately had a really bad game too. I went Nomi and thought I was pulling it together, but sometimes when you go Nomi, you get eighth, and I got eighth. Um, but we managed to salvage enough points to not drop behind. That's what really mattered.
Yeah. Snake, how did it look for you? Snake, you there?
My mic was muted this whole time.
Oh.
Welcome.
Uh, anyway, so my strategy was to place low, and I did because then my luck would go to PWE, and he would roll Flurgle, and he did.
Mhm. Nice.
Nice. Love to see Murlocs still doing their thing.
Yeah. Um, and you were also in this first lobby, so I want to ask if you have any questions to our champions, anything you want to add about this lobby. Let's not talk about the player who went first twice because we don't talk
Yeah,
about him.
nobody
Yeah,
needs to talk about
we can ignore
that.
that one. I mean, ignore how I did in these lobbies as well, please. Thank you. Um, I want to ask the winning team, how'd you guys feel knowing that there was a 50% chance that a cum team was going to end up winning the Battleground series? Do you think we're truly living in a cum meta right now?
Well, was it 50%, or are we just so much stronger than the other teams that it was actually nearly 100%?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that.
Fair.
That's a fair question. Well, I figured it was probably a 50% chance that Lil Nenko's internet would go out, and that would be the
Oh,
deciding
I'll
factor
tell
there.
you, this whole match this week, I didn't watch. I watched maybe one or two of the combats because it was disconnecting me every single turn.
Well, that can be good if you're
Wow.
not seeing the frogs jump around, though.
Oh yeah, I was unintentionally getting lots of extra time, and I
Oh,
was telling Snake like the outcomes of fights, just like again, not trying to disconnect, but it's like, oh, it disconnected me. Now I'm back. Here's who's dead. Um,
nice. Were you all a little bit scared after you saw Donde really glued to you all with the double one here?
Extremely. Like, dude, you show up to the lobby and you look at the gap we had, and you feel a little safe, and then you see he gets double one, and you're scared.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's like, oh, I guess we still have time to lose this.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
you still have time to lose it, but you have Agent VWE just ruling it in the Sunday lobby again. So, Agent, tell me how that lobby went for you.
So the point totals between us and Dondaith, who was pretty much like a point behind us,
Mm-hmm.
was so close that Ken and I basically had to both do better than the two people on Dondaith, like in each lobby, and it kind of worked out because I think it was Brushy on Dondaith got knocked out early by me in both lobbies, but then like Ked got knocked out right away, right after. So it's basically a battle between me and my Anadon. In the first lobby, it was probably like a 50-50 between who's going to get first, who's going to get second, and I did not win that 50-50. And so then I think we were up like not even a whole point at that after that. And then it literally the last lobby was the one that mattered because the script writing was that good.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that every time that I play with Ked, he always tells me that beasts aren't good, and he asks me, "Why do you force beasts every game?" And then I go around and force beasts, and then I get first. It's happened every time that he's told me that.
Nice.
But of course, the final two was it was it was the final three, I think, and two of us were the leapfrogger comp, which was me and
Yep.
my Anadon, who were the people battling it out for who wins the whole thing. And I got first, like I got like 5 seconds left for one of my turns when I found like all the pieces, and so did my Anadon. So I didn't get to like do anything. And then the next fight, I literally got my entire turn skipped because of how long the fight took. Like Ked was telling
Oh, I
me like
saw that.
what was in my shop and what to do, and I'm
You could
like,
have
it's
played on
still
my
loading
internet.
for me. Exactly. And then so then after that, I kinda might have like disconnected after the next one on the ghost because I needed to take my turn because watching the entire animation and skipping my entire turn was not a thing I could really get away with. So I
Sure.
kind of quit and went back in, but that like broke my entire game. So
Oh.
then like yeah, I thought I had died because it wouldn't load me back in, but then apparently I don't know, it like skipped through like 2 turns and it was just me and my Anodon. I don't really know what happened.
Hmm.
And then I'm pretty sure that ended up just being a 50-50. And of course, what better than to decide who wins than a leapfrogger 50-50 showdown? Just
Fair.
pure skill.
Fair.
It's just normal battleground stuff at that point.
Yep.
You go. Can I just say it's like my favorite outcome ever that it actually came down to you guys versus Brushy Tuna's team, with Brushy Tuna needing to have a good performance in order to take the win, and it is the full choke, the 8th and the 7th. Get wrecked, Brushy
Yeah.
Tuna.
I will say it's kind of funny. If you look not only at this week, but also last week, over and over, teams would have like one player who did well and one player who did terribly in every lobby. And you can look at both of these lobbies and see like, oh yeah, Brushy's at the bottom, but my Anodon's at the top. It's same for Agent and Ked though, and in the other lobby. It's like constantly teams
Mhm.
are going like 1-1, but then also 8-7 or something like that. And it happened 2 weeks in a row.
I mean, you can kind of say that that's part of what can just happen in battlegrounds when you're playing in a team and you're in a call with each other. It's not like one player is suddenly like really good and the other one is just really bad. It's more, there's two people co-oping together and they're collaborating on one person's turn even after the other one gets knocked out, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, and sometimes it just happens, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
battlegrounds gonna battlegrounds.
that's true. And speaking of battlegrounds, since I have y'all here, I want to ask you, what is your favorite comp in battlegrounds right now? What are you playing in battlegrounds that you really like? Is frogs still the best thing ever?
So I don't really
Uh,
play this game.
yeah.
Yeah, nor do I.
I play it not much, but it is Ken is not joking when he said you force leapfroggers every game. Uh, I also enjoy being offered Flurgle because it's just a free first place. There was like a stretch where I got offered him like 3 games in a row in one of the week, like in 1 week, and then like
Nice.
both lobbies 1 week, and then the next lobby next week. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
Yep.
Plus, he's
But we're
really fun.
mercenaries, man. Yeah, they buffed him recently, and then it just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, the streets
But
play Super Auto Pets now.
yep, exactly.
Wait, you guys are on the super auto pets grind as well?
Dude, the problem with that game is that it's too easy, but yeah, I'm like a storybook brawl main. I play about one battleground lobby a week.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll
Strats for
usually
winning a championship. Nice.
I'll usually switch to battlegrounds after I lose 3 times in a row in Wild or Standard, and I don't want to quit Hearthstone, but I kind of want to keep playing.
Sure.
So
I do that as well, but I'm just horrible at battlegrounds.
I did that before they took away my Megasaur and then I stopped playing.
for
Oh,
Sorry.
valid reason.
RIP. I'll just claim oh, they took away Pogo Hopper and now I'm not good.
Nice. I like it.
um, so I want to ask, does anyone have final questions? We have 3 more minutes. I want to ask final questions
Yeah.
for Battlegrounds winner.
I have a quick question. I had to step away for a second here. I hope this question hadn't been asked, but you can just make fun of me if it has. How does it feel to like finally get over the hump? Like you guys had been chomping at the bit for like seasons now, and then finally you guys get the championship.
Feels great. I wish I could have done it against Hoppa Bear's team, who were like our main rivals for 2 seasons, as well as Lee's team, who are really good. But still, some great competition this season, and it feels great to finally win the thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta
Nice.
say,
Awesome.
big congrats on finally getting that victory. You guys were so close for multiple seasons, and well, I kind of was wondering where were you guys at like early season when Concede Your Match was like very bottom of the standings? Was it still like no, 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 this is our season, or were you guys getting nervous at all?
Uh,
Uh, Go ahead, Snake.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that was before I joined, and no, I'm not gonna conflate my own ego, but all I'm saying is things went up as soon as I joined.
Fair.
Nice.
Yeah, it turns out
I
that
like
playing
that.
on a team with 4 players is better than a team with 3.
Also true.
No, I mean, definitely shout out to W, who was our teammate the first 2 seasons. He played great, but this season we just had some scheduling things in the first couple weeks, as well as like my internet a little bit. And so definitely once we got those things under control, I think we realized it was still in time to make playoffs. Only needed to get into that third or fourth slot. I think we ended up third in the regular season, and we were pretty sure after 1 or 2 weeks of some stability that we could still come out on top.
Nice. Awesome. I'm going to move us to our goodbye screen, and I'm going to ask the Battlegrounds team. First of all, I want to congratulate you one final time, and I want to ask if three of you have any final words. And I'm going to go in alphabetical order so we don't get crazy here. Agent PWE, any final words you want to say? Congratulations on winning the Battlegrounds series.
Uh, I I'm not sure I should be saying this, but uh, I think this may be the last time you see Concede Your Match, or at least in the near future in the Battleground series. So this is your chance if you want a free dub. Join the Battleground series. It'll be a lot less stacked next season.
Oh
Fair.
wow, going out
Hey,
on top.
crafty monkeys are coming back. There'll be some competition.
Um, Lulnenko, any final words? And congratulations one more time for your championship.
Yeah, just like take your vitamins or whatever. And also like follow
Fair.
me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch,
Sure.
Wolnenko on both. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it. GG's to everybody we played this season. Lots of good competition.
Yeah, this was quite the season. Battlegrounds is always a hot series. Snake Thoughts, any final words you want to say? Anything you would like to add? Um, and congratulations one more time on winning the Battleground series.
I don't really have anything to say, but the one thing I will say is I think I figured out the secret to winning THL series, and it's to join in formats you don't play.
Sure, that's fair.
Nice.
If it works.
I mean,
Now, as I say goodbye to our casters who've joined us tonight, first of all, I will give them a checkout question, which I've been doing and which I find fun. And the checkout question is Arena, Battlegrounds, Mercenaries, or Duels? And why? And I'm going to start with Ron. Ron, thank you for being here as always. Arena, Battlegrounds, Mercenaries, or Duels?
Well, first off, it's never duels. Duels is trash. Duels is complete trash. Um, so it's a question between three. Arena, I got a lot of love for Arena, but it got a little stale. Battlegrounds, I'm terrible at it. And Mercenaries, I haven't played, so the promise of Mercenaries, it's got it for me. It's Mercs all the way. I haven't
Nice.
even played a single game. I haven't looked up anything about it. I like watched part of a video that was kind of confusing. I'm in on Mercenaries. Let's check it out. Seems cool.
Nice. Sharmo, thank you for joining me tonight. It's always amazing having you, and I always have a lot of fun. Thank you as always, and I want to ask you any final words and arena, battlegrounds, mercenaries, or everyone's favorite duels.
Well, I do have some last words. My last words are that we're gonna have our Maniac Monday next week.
Nice.
The bracket should be going, or the battle fight should be going up next week. It's gonna be a standard Conquest Nas Stone. This is post nerf, so it's gonna be a little bit different than we did back in August. So a little bit different of a meta. And we'll get that set up tomorrow, and we'll get this posted on our Discord. And then for the other question, um, I'm gonna have to go. I mean, Mercenaries is new, but I haven't tried it yet. But I always got to go back to my second. I mean, if it's not standard, it's got to be Arena. I love Arena. I've always loved Arena. If I There was at one point when I did more Arena than standard. Now
Nice.
it's obviously way more standard than Arena now, but I still have a lot of Arena. Uh, 12 wins under my belt, so I'm gonna have to go with Arena. Arena's good. I
Nice.
love it.
And Owl, final thoughts for you? Anything you want to say? Thank you so, so much for joining us. It was amazing having you. What do you think of battlegrounds, arena, mercenaries, or duels?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on the show. It was fun to be on. I'm glad my schedule was open enough that I was able to make it. Uh, my answer might be a little surprising. I think people will expect me to say battlegrounds, but I'm also going to have to go with arena. Um, I for like my first probably 2 years playing Hearthstone, I barely played ladder at all. I was just an arena grinder, and then they had that update like less than a year ago where they added your arena wins onto your like golden portraits, and I suddenly had every hero golden and like three more 1K portraits, and I had no idea that I used to play that much arena. And also it's always entertaining because I'll be like cooking dinner and Damon will walk out of his room with his phone and go, hey, check out this crazy arena deck I just drafted. So even if I don't play it too
Nice.
much anymore, I still get some entertainment from it.
Nice. Um, that is it for our show tonight. I want to thank everyone who's joined us. I want to thank Ron, DeSharmo, Nice Jewish Owl, Agent PWE, Lil Nenko, Snake Fods, and thank your mom, Ked, who couldn't be here, but I'm sure would have loved to be here if the schedule had aligned. Thank you all for joining the show. Hearth Center is off for tonight. You can watch Tavern Talk tomorrow. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to speculate as we're heading into the next weeks and playoffs for 2 series. We don't have battlegrounds anymore, but next season is starting really soon. It's just a blink of an eye. I hope you all have fun with mercenaries. Play your matches on stream as always. You can DM me if you want to play on stream. You all know it, etc., etc. Have a good night and sleep tight, everyone.
Good night, everybody.